Hello aspirants, I welcome you all to Daily Current Affairs Analysis of Shankar IAS Academy. Today's date is 13th of July 2025. Displayed here are the list of articles that we are going to discuss today. In this first article, we will be discussing about the difference between ballistic missile and a cruise missile. In the second article, we will be discussing about a particular site that has been added to UNESCO World Heritage List very recently. Third article will be discussing in detail about what is this replacement fertility rate and what happens if it decreases or increases. Fourth article will be discussing about GI tag in detail. In the fifth article, we will be discussing about the basics of National Green Tribunal. Sixth article will be discussing about palm oil and its consumption and challenges. What is the way ahead from the mains perspective? And in the final article, we will be discussing about Maharashtra's public security bill. So without any delay, let us get into the article discussion. Now look at this news article. The title of the article reads, Pentagon acknowledges Iranian ballistic missile hit Qatar air base during Iran's attack. So here Pentagon is nothing but the Defense Department of United States of America. So they have acknowledged Iranian ballistic missile has actually hit Qatar air base. So from the prelims perspective, we have to know about what is this ballistic missile. And there are two different types of missiles. First one is the ballistic missile, second one is the cruise missile. We shall see the difference also in this news article discussion. So let us start with the ballistic missile. See here in this image, you can actually see how a ballistic missile works. So during the launch, it will be guided and it will be launched vertically. So once it is launched, it will be exiting the atmosphere, and from there the guidance will be stopped and the gravity will actually guide the particular missile. So it will follow a curved path, as you can see in this particular image. So the key important thing that you have to remember is it is powered only during launch phase and then coast in free fall. So the main important thing that I have to remember is it is powered only during launch phase and then cost in free fall. So talking about the warhead, it can be both conventional as well as nuclear warhead. Both can be launched through ballistic missile, and it is actually built for long range and high speed precision strikes. So this is what about the ballistic missile. Now moving on, we have to say about the types of ballistic missile. Here I have given you the types of ballistic missile. So it starts from short range to intercontinental ballistic missile. So if you know whether India possesses a intercontinental ballistic missile or not, you can leave that in the comment section and you can leave the name of the missile. Now moving on, we shall see about the cruise missile. So the exact opposite of the ballistic missile is this cruise missile. So it will be guided throughout the course and it will help in precision strike. And in order to evade the radar detections, they will be not going into higher altitude, they will be going on the lower altitude only, and they will be staying within the Earth's atmosphere throughout its path. So this is the very major difference between the two. And just like an unmanned aircraft, it is continually powered by a jet engine, and it has high accuracy and ideal for stealth attacks on strategic targets. So here I have given a crisp difference between the two missiles. So with this understanding, let us try to solve this particular prelims question. The question asks, what is the main difference between a cruise missile and a ballistic missile? Option A, cruise missiles are faster than ballistic missiles. Second option says, cruise missiles follows a curved path in space. Cruise missile are powered throughout their flight. And fourth option says cruise missiles are launched only from submarines. So here the correct answer for the question is option C. Cruise missiles are powered throughout their flight. So this is the main difference between the cruise missile and the ballistic missile. With these learned points, now let us move on to the next news article discussion. Now look at this news article. The title of the article reads, India's Maratha military landscapes inscribed on UNESCO World Heritage List. So here we have to learn about two important things. Firstly, why this particular site has been added to the list, and secondly, what is this UNESCO World Heritage List. So let us start with the reason why. See, these landscapes, it is nothing but a network of forts. It has been built between 17th to 19th century by the Maratha Empire. So it is actually strategically located across different landscapes. For example, hilltops, coastal region, islands, and rugged terrains. So this is a very good example for an natural terrain usage as well as adaptive architecture and military foresight. This is because it enabled them to use warfare techniques like guerrilla warfare. So this has always been an advantage when it comes to a war and defeating their opponent. Now, second important thing is it is designed as an integrated defense system instead of being a isolated outpost. For this reason also, it is a very important thing. And this vision, it has been actually visioned by Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. So these are the reasons why it has been actually added to the UNESCO World Heritage List. So here I have given all the important Maratha forts that has been included in this particular landscape. You can pause the video and go through it. These forts, it can be asked in the preliminary examination as a match up following question. So just make a note of it. Now moving on, we shall see about UNESCO World Heritage List. When we talk about this particular status, it is awarded by UNESCO for outstanding cultural, natural or mixed value to humanity. So these are the three different categories. Firstly cultural, secondly natural, and the third category is mixed. And India has actually 44 World Heritage Sites as of 2025. Remember this number. Among these, 34 are cultural in nature, 7 is natural in nature, and 1 is mixed. So if you know what is this one mixed UNESCO World Heritage Site, you can leave that in the comment section. Now, talking about India, we are actually a signatory to UNESCO Convention since 1977. So UNESCO can even place a site on World Heritage in danger if the list is actually threatening in nature. Now these are all very important facts that you have to remember. Now here I have given recent addition from India to the UNESCO World Heritage List. So recently UPSC asking questions like what are all the recent addition to particular list. So those kinds of question has been asked, and for that only I have displayed here. For example, Dholavira, it is actually Harappan city. It has been added in 2021. It is actually located in Gujarat. And the Ramappa temple from Telangana, it has been added on 2021. So with these, let us try to answer a preliminary question. Which Indian city is recognized as a World Heritage City by UNESCO? Here the correct answer for the particular question is option D, Ahmedabad. So with these learned points, now let us move on to the next news article discussion. Now look at this news article. The title of the article reads, Andhra Pradesh Chief Minister Chandrababu Naidu flags low sub-replacement fertility rate, rising population of the aged. So here we have to learn about the keywords, two important keywords. Firstly, what is this total fertility rate, TFR, and second important thing is what is this replacement fertility rate, RFR. We shall see about that in this news article discussion, and what will be their impact if they are higher or lower. We shall see that also. So we shall start with what is this TFR. See, the total fertility rate is nothing but the amount of child a particular woman can bear during her reproductive age. So this is what they will be calling it as TFR. Currently, as per our NFHS report, we have reached TFR level of 2.0, which means each woman is able to bear or they are currently bearing 2 babies. Now here comes the second question. What is this replacement fertility rate? See, the replacement fertility rate is nothing but the number of child required to replace the previous generation. For example, if there is a mother and a partner, how many child they require to replace their generation is what is replacement fertility rate. Currently UPSC is asking questions or definitions, and that is why we are making an effort to explain what is the difference between the two. Now here let us come to the news article discussion. What the article is telling is the fertility rate is declining. That is, currently the total fertility rate is only 1.7. However, the replacement level is 2.1. So there is a mismanage here. This is actually leading to the increase in the number of aged population. So this is causing a lot of concern when it comes to governance, because primarily governance has actually concentrated on population control, how to reduce the population. But now governance has to focus more on how to manage the population and how to reap the demographic dividend. So moving on, we shall see about key important details that has been given in the article. So when we take in the case of Andhra Pradesh or any particular state in the southern India, Andhra Pradesh total fertility rate is 1.7, which is below RFR. We saw that, and this trend is prevailing in Kerala, Tamil Nadu as well as in Telangana. So this poses a very big risk of labor shortage and economic slowdown, and we have to. So this has raised a situation, or it has urged us to realign population strategies for stability. And here I have given you one example for higher fertility rate and one example for lower fertility rate, and where India stands. So here you can see that total fertility rate is 1.9. That is, any sexually active women in their reproductive period, they are giving birth to one child or two child. And here RFR, the replacement rate is 2.1. When we talk about South Korea, the RFR is 2.1. They require two children to be born in a particular generation. So this means that most of the women, they are not likely to give birth, and even if they give birth, they are giving birth only to one child. This is the opposite case when it comes to Nigeria. The replacement rate is again 2.1, but the total fertility rate is 5.3. This is a clear indication of a developing country. There are a lot of reasons for this particular higher TFR, because of lower medical availability, accessibility to lower medical services, lower life expectancy, and disease spread, and etc. So these things you can use an example in your mains answer writing. So far we saw about what will happen if the RFR is lower than 2.1. Now we shall see what will happen if RFR is higher than 2.1. See, if this it will actually lead to rapid population growth, which will again lead to resource constraint. So we have to maintain a balance. That is what we have to conclude from this article discussion. So there will be pressure on food, there will be pressure on healthcare, as well as there will be pressure on housing. So there will be youth bulge, which will be equal to opportunity, lack of opportunity. So a lot of people will be unemployed and instability will be there, which will again lead to economic slowdown. So we cannot leave the TFR and RFR to increase beyond the level or decrease beyond the level. So these are important points that I have to remember. Now, based on the things we have discussed, I have framed a prelims question for you. Let me read out the question. Which of the following are possible consequences of TFR subsequently lower than RFR? Here, four options has been given. First one says aging population, second one says shrinking labor force, third one says increased rural-urban migration, and fourth says lower dependency ratio. Here, the correct answer for the question is option A, 1 and 2 only. You have to think thrice before answering these kinds of questions. Now, with these learned points, now let us move on to the next news article discussion. Now, look at this news article. This news article talks about Mangalagiri handloom sarees from Andhra Pradesh. So the article says that this particular handloom sarees, they have GI tag and it has reached a multi-layered recognition. For example, it is a cloth of worship, a flag of sustainability, a badge of indigenous pride, and a product of tireless human craftsmanship. However, they face a lot of challenges. For example, very low income and powerloom competition is there. So because of these two reasons, they could not survey properly in the market. And here, government support and modernization efforts are actually revitalizing the sector. So this is what the article is talking about. From the prelims perspective, we have to learn about why this Mangalagiri handlooms are very, very important, and a few facts about GI tag. See, it is actually a 500 plus year old tradition. Here you can see the actual saree of the Mangalagiri handloom saree. So it is made from fine cotton and silk saree. So it has got the GI tag, and it is also a part of One District One Product ODOP initiative. So this ODOP initiative is a very important initiative in the recent times. So just like aspirational district programs where districts, specific districts will be selected for development, this particular ODOP scheme focuses on one product each district, and it will be promoted not only locally as well as among India, but also in the global level. Now moving on, we have to see about the design features. As I said, there will be no embroidery. It will be used, only fine cotton will be used, and Nizam border with temple motifs will be there, and simple stripes and checks on the palgus will be there. And there are wide range of products, for example sarees, salwar, dupatta, shirting and linens. Even those kinds of wide range of products are done with this Mangalagiri handloom sarees, or handloom textile. Now talking about the GI tag, we have to know that it is nothing but a sign used on product that has a specific geographical origin and possess distinct character or reputation related to that origin. So they have a specific origin, and that origin is very reputed. So even though it is available in different places, but the origin is very important, right? So that is what this geographical indication actually means, and it is like a intellectual property right. And we have administrating body, for example geographical indications registry, which is in Chennai. It comes under DPIIT, Ministry of Commerce and Industries. So the legal backing is Geographical Indication of Goods Registration and Protection Act 1999, and it came into force in only 2003. So this is actually linked to WTO's TRIPS agreement. Remember that the first GI tag in our country is the Darjeeling tea, which got its GI tag in 2004. Now talking about the renewability, it is valid for 10 years and it can be renewed indefinite times. And different kinds of products, for example agriculture, handicrafts, foodstuffs and manufactured items are included in this GI tag. And the objective of it is to protect the traditional projects, promote rural economy and prevent misuse. Now talking about the benefits, they will be getting the IPR protection, and global branding will be done, and better prices for producers will be given, and rural employment is there. Here I have given certain categories and examples for that. You can quickly go through it. Now despite these GI tag being awarded to the Mangalagiri handloom sarees, it has not been properly appreciated in the market due to different reasons, and that is why it has made news. Now from the prelims perspective, I have created a question for you. Let me read out the question. The tradition of Mangalagiri handloom can be traced back to 500 years. It received a GI tag in 2010. Nizam border with distinct temple motif is a unique feature of Mangalagiri saree. Here the correct answer for the question is option C, all the three. With these learned points, now let us move on to the next news article discussion. Now look at this article. The article talks about NGT, National Green Tribunal. NGT has actually directed the MCD to expedite desilting work in a particular colony. So this is what the news is about. The news is not very important, but learning about NGT is actually a very important thing. So let us quickly go through the basics of NGT. See, this particular NGT, or the National Green Tribunal, has been established under National Green Tribunal Act 2010. So it is actually a statutory body. So the objectives of it, why it has been established, is because to give out effective and expeditious disposal of case which is related to the environment protection and conservation of forest as well as natural resources in our country. Now talking about the legal basis, it actually comes under Article 21, right to life, and the polluter's pay principle. Polluter's pay principle is nothing but whoever is polluting, they have to pay the cost, and precautionary principle. So it is like giving guidelines before even something is happening. And secondly, third important thing, we have to talk about the composition. It consists of a chairperson. Mostly it is a retired Supreme Court judge, then judicial members and expert members. So these people, they will be appointed by central government in consultation with the Chief Justice of India. Now moving on, we shall talk about the jurisdiction. So this includes Water Prevention and Control of Pollution Act 1974, then Air Prevention and Control of Pollution Act 1981, then Environment Protection Act 1986, then Biodiversity Act 2002, and Forest Conservation Act 1980. And still there are two important environmental laws. If you know that, leave that in the comment section. Now moving on, talking about this particular NGT, they follow natural justice. So what is natural justice? This was also asked in a preliminary question, so leave that in the comment section. So instead of following the CPC, the guidelines or the punishments given in that, they will be following the natural justice, which will be differing case on case. And the appeal is actually there, and we have to appeal to the Supreme Court within 19 days of the judgment given by NGT. So here we have missed out one thing, the tenure of the Supreme Court judges who has been appointed as chairperson for this NGT. So if you know about the tenure, just test yourself by leaving a comment in a comment section. So based on the things we have discussed, I have framed a prelims question for you. Let me read out the question. Here two statements has been given. The NGT can take up cases only under the Environmental Protection Act 1986. Here the statement only is extreme statement, so you can have a doubt on that statement. Second statement says NGT is not bound by the civil procedure code but guided by principles of natural justice. This we saw in our a slide later, slide before we saw that. So here correct answer of the question is option B, 2 only. Now with these learned points, now let us move on to the next news article discussion. Now look at this news article. This news article tries to answer the question, is palm oil bad for your health or not? So from the mains perspective, let us understand key facts given in the article. So let us start with what is palm oil. See, palm oil is nothing but a vegetable oil derived from the mesocarp of the oil palm fruit. Here you can see the palm fruit. So there are two types of palm oil. First one is derived from the fruit's flesh, crude palm oil, CPO, and there is a second type which is derived from the palm oil's kernel. So from the seeds also they will be deriving oil. So both it is used in food, cosmetics, detergent as well as biodiesel. Now moving on, we have to see about the top producer country when it comes to palm oil. The first is the Indonesia. 58% of production comes from Indonesia. Then comes Malaysia, 22%. Then Thailand, 4%, and Colombia, 2%. When we talk about India, we have negligible production, but we are largest importer. We have huge market here in India. Literally 8 to 9 million tons per year is imported. This is as per USDA report FAOs. And moving on, we are coming to the question, is palm oil good for health? So it contains 50% of saturated fat, which is palmitic or acid. So what is this saturated fat? See, this saturated fat, it will increase the LDL level in the blood. So this will what it will happen, what it will do. So what it will do is, it will narrow the bloodstream. For example, if the bloodstream is like this, wider in the first place, when the LDL or the saturated fat increases, the blood vessel will start to narrow like this in the both side of the bloodstream. So what happens is, whenever the blood vessel is narrowing, the amount of blood that is going to reach the brain or different organs of our body will get stuck. Especially the amount of blood that reaches the heart itself will decrease. So what happens, this will lead to a lot of non-communicable diseases like cardiac arrest or stroke and etc. So what does WHO tell? WHO tells that it is safe in moderation, but overconsumption is a very big concern. And even FSSAI, it has said we have to maintain balance and avoid overuse, and consume if reused for frying. This is a very important thing. So it is not toxic but raises LDL if overused. Now moving on, talking about India's consumption and challenge. India, more than 60% of edible oil need is imported. Among that, palm oil covers 50 to 60%, which is a concerning thing. It is vulnerable to global price shock as well. For example, if El Nino is happening or war is happening, the price shock will have an impact on Indian consumption. Then there is a lot of health risk in unregulated processed or street foods, and finally indirect contributor to global deforestation. So these are all certain challenges when it comes to palm oil production. Now moving on, we have to see what can be done. We have to promote NMEO oil palm, which is nothing but we have to create a lot of edible oil in our country itself, and we have to label the fats clearly so that people will be aware about its usage and regulate the processed food even if it is in the street side. And we have to diversify our import sources, and we have to promote certified palm in order to increase the or decrease the health impacts. And finally, we have to indulge in a lot of research and development in high yield varieties and water efficient practices. So based on the things we have discussed, I have framed a mains question for you. Let me read out the question. Critically examine India's growing reliance on palm oil in the context of health security, economic self-reliance, and environmental sustainability. So it is a 10-mark question, and you have to write an answer for 150 words. Write an answer and post it in the comment section. We will be reviewing your answer. So with these learned points, now let us move on to the next news article discussion. Now look at this news article. The article talks about Maharashtra's urban Maoism bill. So from the mains perspective, let us learn about the provisions, what are all the challenges, and what is the way ahead. See, this particular bill, it is actually rooted towards urban-based extremist activities, which is also known as urban Maoism. So the provisions of the bill are more related to only urban Maoism. So let us quickly go through the provisions one by one. Firstly, declaring unlawful organizations. So this is actually a bill, but it is about to turn into an act. So once it is turned into an act, the state will have the power to declare any organization as an unlawful organization if it is suspected to help the left-wing extremism in the region. Secondly, the punishable offence has been prescribed, and the punishment is also prescribed in this particular provision. The jail term of up to 2 to 7 years as well as 2 to 5 lakhs of penalty will be given for any person who is being a member of that organization or raising fund for the organization or managing or assisting the organization or committing unlawful activities. Now, third important thing is the unlawful activity. This definition will include inciting violence and disrupting law or order, or aiding extremist. So all these will come under unlawful activities definition. Now make note of all these. We'll see about them and the challenges. Now the fourth important thing is the arrest can be made without a warrant, and the automatic bail it will not be applied in this case of arrest. And there will be advisory body for reviewing the ban given on an organization. So this advisory board will be headed by a high court judge with 2 important members, one retired judge and one government pleader. And fifth important thing is there will be investigation authority, and the SP, deputy SP rank person or above, they only can investigate the persons. And finally, the amendment scope. This particular bill, it focuses only on the left-wing extremism and similar organization, and it tells not all unlawful activities are actually covered under this act. So it is said so, but the terms that we saw, it has wider coverage. Now moving on, we shall see about certain central laws and why a particular bill is required in case of Maharashtra. See, we have different laws like UAPA, Unlawful Activities Prevention Act 1967. This will prevent unlawful activities as well as terror activities across India. This is a central law. Apart from that, we have NIA Act 2008, where National Investigation Agency, it is authorized to deal with terror cases, as well as there are different provisions in CRPC as well as IPC. However, Maharashtra is making up a separate bill due to different reasons. We shall see the reasons one by one. So the first reason is the state has the power under the constitution, public order as well as police or state subject. So the state have the power to make their own law to manage their internal security. So this is the first important reason. The second important reason is local threat focus. See, these UAPA, they target on terrorism very broadly. but it requires a specific focus, and that is what this bill is trying to give. So they will be focusing only on urban Naxal friends or the organizations that support extremism through logistics, propaganda, or fundraising. See, these things, they are not directly leading to they are not actually participating into the violence, but they are helping behind. So they are like working in the backstage. So even though they are not violent, but they play a strategic role, and that is why they are not being covered under the UAPA, and this particular bill is required in the case of Maharashtra. Now, second important thing is, lot of other states, for example Chhattisgarh, Odisha, and Telangana, they have separate public security acts, and Maharashtra is aligning with them. So there is no nothing different, and there is faster enforcement when a particular state has clearer definition and what is covered and what is excluded, then everything will be quicker. So this is the reason, another one reason why Maharashtra reads this particular bill. Now we have to talk about the challenges when it comes to this particular bill. First is vague language. There are a lot of terms like disobedience and interference which is not clearly defined in the act. Then threat to free speech. See, the peaceful criticism may also be criminalized under this particular act. So public dissent, free public dissent is a question here. No direct link to public disorder. So there are a lot of risk of punishing non-violent action as well, and there is no proof of incitement needed. See, even the harmless speech, it can be punished because no kind of proof is required. And weak judicial oversight. Court has only limited power when it comes to this particular bill, and overlaps with existing. Lot of provisions are already covered under this UAPA and BNS. So as a way ahead, we have to focus on terms to avoid the misuse. Then we have to protect the peaceful dissent and only penalize incitement to violence. For that, clear definitions should be made, and we have to add judicial oversight to ensure fair processes involved. We have to add safeguards like reviews, appeals, and time limits. So this will bring in a check and balance and prevent power misuse. And finally, we have to avoid duplication of existing laws like UAPA and BNS. So based on the things we have discussed, I have framed a mains question for you. Let me read out the question. Naxalism is a social, economic, and developmental issue manifesting as a violent internal security threat. In this context, discuss the emerging issues and suggest a multi-layered strategy to tackle the menace of Naxalism. So it is a 15-marker question, and for 250 words, you can write an answer and post it in the comment section so that we can review your answer as well as your peers can review it. So with this, we came to the end of the newspaper analysis. If you like the video, hit like, do comment, and don't forget to subscribe to Shankar IAS Academy YouTube channel. Thank you so much and have a happy Sunday.